Let's talk about what's been going on with Riot Games, because there has been a couple of interesting developments that are going to affect League of Legends moving forward. First up is this little Amumu there. Remember the Ballad of Amumu? God, it was awful, wasn't it? This is what I wanted to talk about the other day. There's been a legal filing by Riot Games. You may remember the FTX deal. I talked about it on a recent video I put out called Esports Can't Stop Taking Dodgy Money. And just to give you a brief refresher, what happened was a cryptocurrency exchange called FTX that was being massively overhyped in a way that should have caused alarm bells to ring, but was also being championed by lots of mainstream people, lots of, supposedly credible sources. They had agreed that they were going to enter into an unprecedented sponsorship with TSM. TSM were the highest valued esports organization in the Forbes charts, which are just absolute nonsense at the best of times. I think they were valued at something like 430 fucking million. I can't even remember. It was an absurd valuation anyway. And so, obviously, they need a big sponsor to cover all of that. And so they entered into a deal that was going to basically be a 10-year sponsorship deal for naming rights of TSM, where FTX would give $21 million a year for TSM to be called TSM.FTX. Now, that was done. That was all signed upon. Riot Games saw this. Riot Games said, actually, we're not too sure about cryptocurrency naming rights on esports organizations. In fact, if you look at our list of the types of sponsor you can have, you might see that we say cryptocurrency is actually not a thing you can do. And then they snaked in, because they're Riot Games, and they themselves arranged a deal with FTX to be the name of the league's sponsor, right? Creating a weird little conflict of interest, and also means that they engaged in a weird little abuse of power. But this being League of Legends, where the only journalists that talk about these things are suppressed by their minions that work for allegedly independent tech sites, this wasn't made a bigger deal of, incredibly, that story. Seems to me that that would be a huge scandal in any other esport, but I guess not. So, Riot have subsequently applied for the legal right to pull out of the deal, because FTX have obviously filed for bankruptcy. And I'm just reading you the PC Gamer write-up of it. I read the whole thing. I'll show you some parts of it. But I read the whole filing. It's not blockbuster stuff. It's not particularly interesting. Here's how PC Gamer wrote it up. Riot Games filed a motion to compel yesterday in the hopes of terminating its League of Legends Championship Series sponsorship deal with the cryptocurrency exchange FTX. This follows the highly publicized implosion of the cryptocurrency exchange and the arrest of its founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, on charges of fraud. I am going to do a video on the FTX stuff, just to give you an idea of how divorced from any kind of real world understanding that guy is and his family are. He's been arrested, sent to jail, and his parents have been contacting the prison in which he's held to ask if they can send in frozen vegan meals for them to cook for him, because he has a particular diet. Now, the last time I saw anybody do anything like that, it was the QAnon shaman that went into the Capitol building on the 6th of January. But anyway, so he's in good company. CoinDesk reported on the agreement between Riot and FTX last August. I showed you that in that previous video. The sponsorship deal was set to last for 7 years, with FTX branding displayed prominently during the LCS. And as we'll get into, the deal itself was between 2022 and 2028 and would have come to approximately $96 million. That's what Riot Games were able to squeeze out. Less than TSM for naming rights of their league on a year-on-year basis. Riot did not publicly disclose the price of the deal at the time, but did indicate it was the largest such esports sponsorship the company had ever secured. Indeed, they weren't even transparent about the amount, probably for the reason I've just said, because if TSM can command $210 million and you command half of that, then that makes TSM sort of look bigger than your league. And again, if you think, oh, Riot Games would never be that petty, where have you been? They are very much that petty. They will always be that petty. That is the sole reason why they didn't disclose it. FTX was one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges in the world and had a well-curated public image. You may remember the company's ad featuring Larry David at the Super Bowl. Something that was kind of funny, but mostly sad at the time. I mean, again, nothing says young, vibrant, happening industry than wheeling out Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm. At the time of writing, FTX still holds naming rights to Miami's FTX Arena, which was formerly the American Airlines Arena, the home of Miami Heat. Internal documents showing massive discrepancies in FTX bookkeeping leaked to the public last month, with mass withdrawals from customers and a declaration of bankruptcy following soon after. Bankman-Fried had continued to run PR damage control before eventually stepping down from his position as CEO, then got arrested in the Bahamas earlier this week. FTX is virtually insolvent, but according to Riot's motion, still owes the company half of its $12.5 million payment for 2022. So to be clear, Riot Games, out of taking this deal after doing all that snaky bullshit, right, they've essentially ruined their image as being these internet-savvy sponsorship marketing giants for a paltry $6 million. $6 million. Well done, dudes. That yearly payment was only set to increase over the lifespan of the 7-year sponsorship deal. It only makes sense that Riot would want off this sinking ship, but the company also cites the association as being damaging to its brand. Humorously, Riot points to Sam Bankman-Fried's infamous League of Legends habit as a particular sticking point. For those who don't know what this is, when Sam Bankman-Fried was having talks to gain investment, it was publicly revealed in all of the reporting. He used to sit there while he was holding those meetings, wrecked out of his mind on whatever supplements he was taking, playing League of Legends. Kind of like when Destiny used to come on unfiltered, you know? And he'd be playing EVE Online. And I'd be like, Steven, what did you think of that StarCraft 2 tournament? Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's pretty lame, I guess, dude. Good times, right? Media outlets and Twitter commentators splashed images of Mr. Bankman-Fried playing League of Legends, Riot's game, at the same time that FTX was crashing, the motion reads. Maybe the reputational damage would have been less severe if Bankman-Fried was actually good at the game, because apparently he's like hard-stuck fucking bronze or something. Though ideally he would have just been better at running a cryptocurrency exchange. Before your heart bursts with too much sympathy for Riot, the company is actively looking for an explicitly crypto-focused advertising partner to replace FTX. The longer Riot is prevented from commercializing the cryptocurrency, the crypto exchange sponsorship category, and the assets currently owned by FTX, the more damage Riot incurs. So there you go. They've learned absolutely nothing, right? Think about this. Okay, they've just took this big sponsorship deal that they actively went to fucking snake away, ideally, from somebody else. Right? This was after them saying, you know what, maybe y'all teams shouldn't be taking crypto sponsorships because crypto is a bit of a volatile market and it makes us monitoring whether or not you have the funds pretty difficult. They then decided being sponsored by a cryptocurrency exchange was good for them, their league, and not only chose a cryptocurrency, chose a one that literally robbed its customers. Riot Games, ladies and gentlemen, no apology for promoting a cryptocurrency exchange to their audience, which may include some young people, who knows? I mean, I know League of Legends probably full of boomers, right? With its anime waifus and talking wolves and its Netflix cartoon, right? Probably full of boomers, probably 40-year-old guys playing that game. But they promoted a cryptocurrency exchange that's guilty of fraud. So is it not beyond the realm of possibility that Riot Games has promoted a cryptocurrency exchange to someone that's put their money in and had their money completely lost and has now harmed them financially, I wonder? Perhaps we're not going to get into that now, though. We won't see a class action lawsuit against Riot Games, I'm sure. But something to think about, right? So they then decide it was the exchange that was wrong, not the space. Because there's so much money in it, right? There's so much Ponzi scheme, grifting money in it. Shameless. It's hard to imagine this motion not being sustained, and again, the specifics of the motion are this. They don't want to be stuck into a deal they agreed upon and having to go to court to argue non-payment of the funds is a material breach. They are saying we want immediate removal from it. They're not paying the money. They filed for bankruptcy. Our brand, our very, a brand that, listen, so far, the Riot brand has only been associated with systemic sexism in the workplace and sexual harassment. We can't, we don't want to be associated with crypto fraud as well, right? So, absolutely let us out of that deal. There's simply no universe in which FTX could pay Riot what it already owes, let alone be in a position to sustain multi-million-dollar esports sponsorships ever again. The only question in my mind is whether Riot will extricate itself in time to have another crypto sponsor for the LCS in 2023. Yes, indeed, there is a season around the corner, and these things take time, these legal filings, and so it's entirely possible that Riot Games might not be able to secure another crypto sponsor in time for the next season, and that is going to greatly hurt a league that we know is already hurting. I mean, for me, I think, reading between the lines, if you look at the decline in viewership and you look at this type of sponsorship being the biggest in their history, I think they have criminally undermonetized what has been the best esports product for a long, long time. A lot of people are saying the League of Legends bubble has not burst, but it's deflated. Player salaries are down, viewership is down, people are looking to min-max a bit more with their player pickups and promotion of academy players. And obviously, you had great thinker Double Lift, didn't he? He said, the LCS is dead, man. So he said that, didn't he? So they got problems over there. They do have problems over there. But I think if they weren't in potentially dire straits, I don't think they would be taking this kind of sponsorship deal in the first place. That's my take on it. Anyway, if the story of an esports organization trying to cut ties with FTX sounds familiar, you might be thinking of TSM and Furia's efforts on that front. TSM had signed a $210 million 10-year deal, blah, blah, while Furia entered a 1-year, a savvy test the waters with crypto deal. Well done, Furia. You were the smart people in this particular room. A $3.2 million arrangement with the failed exchange. Both teams moved to void their partnerships with FTX last month. Now, interestingly enough, FTX partnership notwithstanding, I can sort of show you a good thread created by a crypto research critic that'll bring up some of the juicy specifics about the filing. And you can see here, this was the breakdown of the money that we know. This is the page from the legal filing where they say the primary purpose of the agreement was to promote the FTX name and brand in connection with Riot's LCS. The territory involved in this lawsuit covers the United States and Canada, as per the business terms cover sheet. FTX is designated as the official cryptocurrency exchange partner of the LCS under our agreement. In exchange for the placement of the FTX name and logo in all our marketing materials, FTX is obligated to make substantial payments to Riot over the course of 7 years. That's what they say. FTX was obligated to pay $12.5 million, but only paid 6.25 with an outstanding balance, obviously, of the remaining 6.25. For 2023, FTX will still owe 12.875 million, because remember, these things scale upwards. So confident they were of success, with the first quarterly installment of 3.2 million due on the first business day of January, right? Payments escalate each year, which is included in the agreement sheet. After 2028, the agreement renews for a further 7-year term, unless either party cancels. They were so confident in this shit. They negotiated a 14-year deal, potentially. Like, are you fucking stupid? In crypto? In a video game? Are you fucking mad? FTX will, at the request of Riot, promptly withdraw any materials which, in Riot's opinion, do not comply with the provisions of the quality standards as defined in the agreement. Also, that argument about Riot Games saying they're incurring reputational damage is included. If I click on that full motion, the stream will stop. But you can see as well, I regret to inform you, the reason Riot would like to terminate is that they want another sponsor, another crypto sponsor. And you can see here the specifics of why they were upset. It says there, Mr. Bankman-Fried's interest in League of Legends, while once being relatable and human, is now seen as reckless and juvenile. Simple as that. It was cute when he was taking those super important business meetings, playing his shit tier Bronze League League of Legends games. It was endearing then. But now that the money's not turned up, it's reckless and juvenile. So, yes. And the LCS in general seems to be having some other problems that I will fold into this. A weird decision here from Riot Games around the LCS, and one that has been met with universal condemnation and derision. And that is that they have changed the 2023 scheduling methodology, and they explain in a TLDR at the start, right? But I'll get into why this matters in a bit. With the growth of our esports, we are revamping our broadcast scheduling practices to better serve fans. Right? Okay, sounds good, right? This will lead to broadcasts that reduce overlaps, schedules that match viewer preferences, new opportunities to explore formats and fresh content, and updated schedules across leagues and games for the 2023 season. They say, before we can talk about the future, join us on a brief journey. Yes, they still talk like this, Riot Games. Join us on a brief journey, if you will, to 1 year ago. The 2021 season was our first full year supporting multiple full-fledged esports ecosystems at Riot Games. What they mean is we now have other games. That's what that sentence means. Well done. This led us to think about how this larger and more complex esports ecosystem would impact you. Has it become harder to be a fan of our sports? And more importantly, how can we make it easier? A review of high-level data gave us confidence that there was room to improve the fan experience in 3 key areas. When watching live games, fans should not frequently be forced to choose between one match in favour of another one. Our schedule would allow you to watch more of the action without making difficult trade-offs. The amount of content we serve up daily should more closely match your appetite. Watching should be fun and exciting, not overwhelming. And 3, content should be delivered at times when it's convenient for fans. Ooh, more on that in a moment. Approach. They love showing the working out, these guys. We started by identifying where leagues and significant overlap in existing fan bases had significant overlap in existing fan bases. This included reviewing the viewing behaviours of fans across different leagues with the goal to get a better understanding of where suboptimal schedules were causing viewership attrition. Armed with that data, we went on a long journey, and we do mean long, across all our internal esports teams to gather additional input on how our 2023 competition should be scheduled. At Riot, there are many groups that help bring our events to life. Broadcast, league ops, regional heads, marketing, and more, including the D20 fucking executives that consistently fuck everything up. And getting their input gives us a deeper understanding of the real-world implications of any potential changes. Additionally, we also surveyed fans across the world and reviewed historical performance to sharpen our understanding. Going forward, we're going to continue to listen closely to fans to make sure the changes we are making continue to improve the league viewing experience. So, here's what they claim they learned. This isn't an exhaustive list, but these facts have been critical in shaping our 2023 plans. Most fans tend to follow their favorite game regardless of region. Did you know that? Through surveys, we discovered that 9% of NA/LoL esports fans report that they follow VCT Americas. We also found that during live matches, more than half of LCS fans watch the LEC and were 4 times more likely to watch the LEC than the VCT EMEA. While this isn't universal for fans in every region, to create a better global experience, we needed to prioritize minimizing overlaps and matches from the same game. Now, I gotta ask, why would this surprise anybody? Why would you even need to take the survey to know this? Riot Games asked a bunch of League of Legends fans, do you watch an FPS? Do you watch an FPS because American teams play in it? And incredibly, the majority of fans went, no, we like MOBAs. And then they say, it's mind-blowing. more than half of LCS fans watch the LEC. You mean super hardcore fans of fucking League of Legends that happen to live in NA? Over half are willing to watch in a region that doesn't have a particularly great time for those games, in a superior region with better players. Oh, mad. Mad, isn't it? It's like, I asked football fans in Spain and Italy, have you ever watched a Premier League football match? Nah, never watched them. You ever watch a Champions League game? Nah, never watched them. Nonsense, right? What a fucking waste of time. Could have told you this for free. Could have done this, pretended I was Doctor Strange and got the answer right. The top two priorities of most fans are to watch their favourite team and to see the biggest matchup that week. Did you know this, guys? Did you know fans of a team like to watch their team, but if their team isn't playing, they'll watch the other big teams, particularly if big teams are playing against each other? Fuck me. Wild, eh? When surveyed, fans expressed that they were just as interested in watching a big match in their favourite league compared to matches with their favourite team. With many fans following multiple leagues and interested in watching the anticipated matches, we need to create a scheduling system that would allow us to shift games to optimize viewing times across these regions. Interesting. Okay. Keep all these thoughts in your head when we get to the punchline. Binge watching every weekend and every league isn't sustainable. You mean I can't just sit down and watch an 8-hour fucking stream in a row, uninterrupted, without getting up and having to do other things? Oh my me, it's almost like the esports model is about hours consumed and not a quality viewer experience. Who could have possibly known this? Not me. We found that consistently long viewing sessions are hard on viewers. 45% of viewers surveyed reported that they felt exhausted after watching a full day of LoL esports. We want to reserve binging your favourite sport for key moments of the year and better pace the remainder of our live competition. Crazy. Weekdays are an underserved, not undeserved, but an underserved opportunity. Research has shown that the demand for all esports and game content is split evenly between weekdays and weekends. Whether it's getting ready for a night of playing until we lose, can't end on a loss. See, we're so relatable, guys. Just like that Sam Bankman-Fried was before the money didn't turn up. Or watching a favourite stream while studying, viewing esports has become part of a weekday routine for many of us. Big events will still be anchored around weekends, but the viewing behaviours we have seen in the VCT, LCK and LPL showed that there was an appetite for content on other days as well. Yes, we know this too. Although you might remember, people used to push back, didn't they? Back in the early days when we started spreading out the games. I remember when you used to just get a full programme of games on a weekend. And then when TV come in, it weren't just a Saturday and now it was a Sunday. And then TV realised they could make more money, so now you had Monday Night Football. And everyone went, well, you know, there's nothing to do on a Monday evening. I'm guessing you Zoomers thought it was always like this. Nah, you used to play all your games on a Saturday. that was how it used to be. And then it was like, well, we're not really doing anything on Thursdays either, right? So now you get a game on a Thursday, a game on a Saturday, or most of your games on a Saturday. Well, say most, almost half the games on a Saturday. Now you get games on a Sunday. It's all being sent out, isn't it, to other TV stations. Then you got Monday night, which obviously Sky Sports still owns that, right? And it's the same in the NFL. Football gets played on a fucking Sunday. Come hell, high water, rain, snow, Arctic temperatures, blazing sunshine. You play football on a Sunday. That was always how it was done. And then networks get in. Well, let's spread this around a little, eh? So they've realised what we've already known. That if you take something that I love and care about and say I can only watch it on that day, then guess what? I will watch it on that day. I won't like it, but I will have to watch it, won't I? It's that, or just fuck yourself. Then picking what to watch can be a chore. Oh, these first world problems that we have in esports, eh? You know, it's always a problem. Like, oh, what do I watch? By the way, that's just the attention economy I keep telling you about and trying to educate you about. The attention economy, the attention economy. These are the buzzwords. This is how it works. This is what they're thinking about. Research shows that the average person makes 35,000 decisions a day. right? Got to admit, like that number does sound accurate to me. Unfortunately for me, 10,000 of those are do I wank or not? But, remember, there's that clip, isn't there? I'm a Kuma with a giant right forearm. Anyway, 35,000 decisions a day. And deciding what match to watch shouldn't be one of them, apparently. Why not? I don't know. That's just asserted as fact. By scheduling our games right, you only have to choose to watch, not what to watch. Simplifying the process. Well done. You're all morons. So, they arrived at this. The broadcast schedule updates. For LOL, the LCS will now be shown on Thursdays and Fridays starting at 12 in the afternoon Pacific time. Say that again, in case you thought I tripped over my words. Thursday and Friday at 12 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific time. So this is just an absurd spot to put the fucking LCS in, because it is an American league, you would presume preferred by, even with their own data points they're trying to use to justify this, with their own audience, that, sure, they like watching the European League. I do have to say, I've got to wonder, how many American fans would watch the European League if the American League was better than the European League. We'll never know. We'll never get to the bottom of that. I'm going to wager it would be less, though. But anyway, Thursday and Fridays are now where they have dumped the LCS to, and not even like Thursday evening, you get back from work or whatever. No, you have to be a fucking permanent Californian fucking shut-in to even be around to see the fucking games. You got to call in sick to fucking Chipotle and say, this flu, it just won't go. I might be it's the coof. Can't come in. It's 12 o'clock. I want to see my favourite fucking team play. Meanwhile, in the LEC, and I'm only going to talk about the European leagues, right? You get Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, 6 p.m. Central European time. Prime time. Like, on the weekend as well. Like, got a hangover, slept in. Don't worry about it, bud. Just absolutely perfect viewing times. So, what are they doing with this? It's pretty clear, right? Because obviously there's a 8-hour gap, 9-hour gap between Europe and the West Coast. And so by putting it on this early, I think what they're trying to do, and on these days, they're trying to catch enthusiasts from, as they said, multiple regions, because the viewership is so fucking low domestically and organically as it was. And now you will notice they are essentially treating LCS and LEC as a continuance of the same thing. One big League of Legends story that they want to tell you. So you go Thursday, Friday, you can watch the shit if you want, but don't worry, LEC, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, perfect times for everybody pretty much. You can get up in the morning and catch that, no bother. If you're on the other side, you can watch it from late times. So, for me, this is just about consolidating viewership wherever it may fall. And spoiler, LCS, it ain't good. This is not very good at all in terms of like what I think this will do to viewership. I saw some people objecting to it, saying it makes all 4 time zones suck for them, for individuals, because it's like, dependent on where you are in the world, you might still be working or whatever. But I think it's almost like sort of maybe LCS has to sort of die on its arse a little bit to prop up the LEC. But ridiculous. Now, obviously, they've even done the same in Valorant, in the VCT. But at least it's on a weekend. So it's 12 p.m., but, Pacific. But it's on a weekend, which makes a huge difference. Anyway, they end with, we're excited about the benefits of this new system. It will allow us to create flexibility to explore broadcast formats, increase cross-regional storytelling, and make it easier for co-streamers. While we don't expect every call to be perfect, we believe the changes we're making will improve the viewing experience across all leagues. where they fall short. We hope you will tell us and we'll be listening. We want these changes to make it easier to be a fan, follow your favourite competition, and discover new content about the sports and teams you love. So, yeah, it's kind of a weird one. But even like a comparison between the two leagues will show you kind of where we're at. Both leagues are in decline in terms of viewership. This is the LEC summer of 2022 that ran between June and September 2022. Peak viewership, 732,573. That was the peak, and that was in a G2 versus Rogue game. It was the finals of the playoffs, so you'd expect that. But generally, they're sat. You know, you can see here. Yeah, G2 versus Misfits, not particularly great. But, you know, Fnatic versus Mad Lions, Fnatic versus Rogue, Fnatic versus XL, they're all 450 to 500,000, right? So, you know, just under $500,000 as peak viewership for games in your league. Pretty good, actually, you know, I'd say that. Average viewers, 211,000. It's definitely down on past years. But then when you look at the American equivalent, if you look at the LCS, this is LCS Summer, so it ran between the same time. And it achieved peak viewership of 370,000. So over half as little as the LEC. And that was between two huge American organizations. It's Cloud9 and 100 Thieves in the motherfucking finals, and 370,000 people are watching it. And then you look at the average viewership, 115,000. I don't know how to break this to anyone. That's not far off Overwatch numbers. Like, not far. But, you know, Overwatch is still bad. Sure. It's not a million miles away. So they had to do something. And they think that by essentially floating the LCS out to fucking fuck you island on Thursday and Friday afternoon and having the LEC be front and center, I guess they think they're going to make enough cross-pollination of the audiences that it's going to bolster the numbers of both, I guess is the working theory. But I don't know. And it definitely looks to me that LCS was the make weight in this. Like, I mean, shit. I saw so many people, like respectable industry people, talking about this. Like, I'll show you some of the reactions. Obviously, this is Mikhail Klementov from the Washington Post. I can see here, response to this cannot be funnier. You must think LCS fans are losers without jobs. Bingo. Great optics there. Monte Cristo obviously knows a thing or two about League. We'll be discussing this, by the way, in our upcoming Four Horsemen episode, The State of League. But anyway, Monte Cristo, I really don't understand why all these changes were part of a single blog post instead of broken down by league, individually with each team explaining the changes to their fans. Once again, no stakeholders, no names, no faces talking to fans. Where is the interaction? Where is the leadership of each league discussing why time changes occurred, how they are better for viewership, what it means for long-term plans? You shouldn't just lump everything together since there are different considerations by region. And he's right. And I think what it gives away is that increasingly they're thinking about League as this almost like holistic thing that it's never been in the past. Uber, you know him, you love him. He pointed out something as well. I really struggle to see how you could be talent on this show and be remotely okay with this decision. It's a good point, right? If I'm working what's meant to be the biggest American broadcast and I'm like the host of it and I cast those games and it's like, you're putting my work to when? It's like doing the fucking graveyard shift on fucking hospital radio or something, you know? You're like, you want your work to be seen, you want people to hear it. Well, fuck you. Yeah, there is a chance that some of the talent might move around, or ask to at the very least. Riot might have a talent reshuffle on this basis, although anything they do that implies that they made the wrong decision, they certainly won't do, if it can be spun that way. Brian Kibler, you know, long-term vocal proponent of LCS, he said, I'm done ever watching it anymore. He's been a regular watcher since literally day one. Noon on weekdays is a completely insane time to broadcast and expect anyone to watch unironically dead League. Now, if you know anything about Brian, he doesn't really do hyperbole a lot of the time. He's generally a savvy fucking guy. Like, I've had the pleasure of meeting Brian on multiple occasions, worked events with him, had lunch with him. Like, I think he's a super cool dude. I got nothing but time for the man. And I think just a really smart, good-hearted guy, right? So for him to say this, it's like insane. It's like this would jar me if I made the decision and got called out by Brian Kibler. Like, I actually sort of do low-key care about his opinion. I can't think of a world, by the way, where he would ever give an opinion about anything I do. But, you know, if he was, it would be like, oh, what? And he says there, this is honestly the worst esports decision I've ever seen. And I was there when Hearthstone moved to YouTube, right? Which, by the way, if you saw when Activision Blizzard just gave YouTube the Hearthstone fucking deal as an afterthought, and it just tanked viewership, and people are like, where do I watch Hearthstone tournaments these days? And everyone's just like, I don't know, YouTube, baby. And then if your goal is to quietly take NA League out behind the barn and shoot it, this is exactly what you do. So, pretty fucking brutal. So, there you go. I don't know. Riot making crazy decisions. It might not be crazy. Maybe LCS is unsalvageable at this point, and, like, it looks like they're kind of consolidating a little bit. Back to the FTX stuff as well. Monty did make another big point that I think is worth talking about, and it really got to raise questions. I got leaked this story. I can't remember if Jacob broke this one or I broke this one. Yeah, it was me. It was me. Of course it was me. Says here, Riot Games, the deal first reported by esports journalist Richard Lewis. There you go. It was me. It was me. Of course it was me. I brought this one. It was me again. Hang on, you're going to say, yeah, don't show the proof. Don't show the proof. There it is. It's see-through, but... The deal, first reported by esports journalist Richard Lewis, is reported. There it is. It was me. But anyway, I remember getting leaked this, and I got everything. I've still got the deck. Still got the fucking prototype app, very similar to the one that they recently announced, funnily enough. But this deal would have been huge. Like, Major League Baseball, BAMTech, they were going to do like a $350 million deal to have streaming, interactive streaming, VOD curation, other types of content on there. And it was announced in 2016. Because I remember, I think I broke this story when I was at E-League. And I think E-League didn't like it. They're like, hey, you going to stop this journalist stuff? Nah, probably not. I'm mentally ill. I'm sick. I've got a problem. I can't stop being a journalist. I want to. I want to quit. But I just can't. I'm fucking sick in the head. We broke this. I was showing people the app going, look what they've designed here. And then in 2018, they were like, yeah, the deal's done. Any reason as to why you're not going ahead? You'll never know. And there you can see Dick Earthquake, one of my favourite accounts. So, yeah, problems, man. Riot Games, they continue to fuck stuff up. It really does make me wonder where everything's going to be in a few years, because my sources do indeed tell me that, they're going to be switching. Things are going to change in CS over at ESL. That they're becoming a bit more, the money tap's going to get turned on Q2 next year. That's when they really get to spend the blood money. Apparently the blood money right now isn't in the bank. It's not really there. But what they're doing is they're going to have talks with all the major stakeholders, the orgs, broadcast talent, the production, and they're going to completely revamp their ESL product and make it a much better broadcast, do loads of cool content with it and everything, because they're going to have the money and the resources to do it. So at the moment, I've said for years, LCS is the best broadcast. It's the best esports broadcast we've ever had that we've got. It's really good at what it does. Very professionally produced, looks great, sounds great shoulder content, incredible talent. There's only like one or two people who work on Riot Games broadcasts that are like, they're not pulling their weight, let's say. but obviously they're legacy hires or whatever, so, you know, you keep them around. But it's entirely conceivable that if they get this wrong, I don't know, one of those fans go and watch instead, right? League of Legends, you know, is a MOBA. They might not want to move to an FPS, but if all of your favourite teams in LCS have a part of the Louver agreement, for example, maybe you do go there, you know, maybe, who knows? Maybe you could be won over, so it's an interesting one. Big balance shift, potentially, in the next couple of years, depending on how this goes, between the fucked up sponsorship and maybe not being able to secure another one in time, not having the money, and the viewership experiment going wrong. So, yeah, watch this space.